Hello. You gonna say hello?
Are we rolling?
Hello.
You might
Hello.
notice we have somebody
Wait a minute.
extra.
You're ruining my intro.
Whoa.
Welcome
We don't
to
wanna
Chesty
ruin her.
Malone vlog number
Vlog.
9.
Vlog.
Going places,
It's
guys.
vlog.
Today we have a cameraman woman in the lovely Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
And we have a guest star.
On
Our
Ye
first-
Old Porch,
first
we have an extra
Oh my god.
person, I guess.
It's not Ty.
It's not Ty.
Fuck you, Ty.
Next
you didn't
time.
make it.
Sorry, buddy.
Alright. You're gonna have to come visit us.
Well, so who are you?
Yeah.
John Bechdel. I'm a keyboard player for Ministry. I'm also a native Pennsylvanian,
As am I.
I'm a career musician. I've been with Fear Factory, Prong, Killing Joke, Murder Inc. But now I'm producing and hopefully going to be working with these guys in my studio.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about doing our
You
fourth
heard it here
album.
first, guys. Chesty Malone is gonna record in Pennsylvania.
Wow, it's a
Ah.
first. Except
That's
for
weird.
our quarantine covers, but
Well,
that
that doesn't count.
Doesn't
Those
count.
are just for fun.
And
yeah.
the new album, if you haven't heard, is going to be called Please Chesty, Don't
Don't
Hurt
hurt
'Em.
him.
So,
Does it have to be green? If it's
What?
does it not have to be green?
No, it should just be. There should be a number rolling. Are we recording? Did you hit record? Let me.
that was
Let
actually
me.
a good intro.
Let
I
me
hope it was
poke
I'm
in on
gonna
our
be
camera.
fired. Am I good?
No, you're recording.
Okay. I
Okay.
thought I was
Might
gonna
not
be
be-
fired
You
on
don't
the
have to
first
whisper,
day.
Just talk. Yeah,
Yeah,
interject.
nobody's fired. Nobody's
Interject.
fired yet.
Sandy's not
Okay.
fired yet.
I'm the
Handy
one New
Sandy.
Yorker amongst Pennsylvanians, and this
I'm
is
a
what
New Yorker,
happens.
too,
I don't
even
know.
though I was born here, but I'm a New Yorker by blood.
So I don't know if you've seen our vlogs before, but we're kind of shit talkers and such.
That's what we do. We talk shit for 30 minutes.
So he was telling me you were going to come join us for our live thing, and I realized I've never heard a Ministry song before in my
Well,
life.
that's okay. This is funny. So she was like, "I've never heard Ministry." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you have," because she always does that. Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about anything, and blah blah blah.
But don't
so,
be offended. I'm a very
So I was like, "You have. I know you have." And I started
Yeah.
singing like, "Well,
Yeah.
no." She doesn't know. So
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, cool." So we sat down and we watched YouTube, and I pulled out all the hits. There's like 3 or 4 hits. And she didn't know any of them.
I didn't
She was
know
like,
any of
"Wait,
them.
isn't that the guy from Butthole Surfers?"
Yeah, give me,
And she is. Yeah,
I liked that
yeah.
one 80s fucking Bauhausy new wave song.
Well, that night I played
gave
the
me.
very first. What's the when
with
they
sympathy.
Yeah.
I feel like I used to go. There used to be this club called the Bat Cave
Oh,
in
yeah.
New York,
Obviously,
and
there was one in LA.
you
too.
used to be able to
And
drink
London.
there when you were a child, and I used to do that. And
People know what
I'm.
the Bat Cave is. They're
Okay.
like, "Oh, there used to be this club."
I don't fucking know Pennsylvanians when you know and don't know about New
We're
York
hip,
City.
we're cool.
But you used to be able to underage drink there, and it was kind of like a goth club. If you viewers remember
Kind
that.
of. It was the.
It was the
consummate
goth club. That's why they let
obviously,
cute
yeah.
girls go drink for cheap, free, whatever there. But anyway, I'm sure they must have played Ministry there at some point. But I just
I was trying to explain to her since she really didn't know Ministry. I was like, okay, it was kind of actually like thrash metal with drum loops and noises and samples.
Well, I liked it now that I heard it, but I didn't know it before. It was one of those things, if like you don't know of a band and your friends don't talk about it, then how are you going to discover
During
it? You know
that
what I mean?
time, I lived in New York, and so during, let's say, 89, 90, 91.
Oh, this is much later.
Okay, if you
Yeah.
went to a club,
This is late 90s.
You
Yeah.
would have walked in and heard Ministry.
Yeah. Oh, I lived in LA at the time.
I'm
Absolutely.
a scotch younger than him,
Okay.
so this was like late 90s. Yeah.
I
So
lived in-
then, like 9 Inch Nails and the probably the heyday of Ministry would have been that time period.
Yeah.
From the albums Land of Rape and Honey and Mind's a Terrible Thing to Taste, and then into Psalm 69.
Yeah.
So they're on, Lollapalooza.
The first one?
It was a pretty big deal. They sold.
Wait, were you in the band at the time?
Not at that time.
Okay.
I was in Killing Joke, so I knew.
That's awesome. I do love Killing Joke.
Yeah, I knew the Ministry guys because we were also based in Chicago.
So you lived in Chicago as
No,
well?
but Martin Atkins, who was drumming for Killing Joke, he started a label, and he had a whole 5,000 square foot loft in Chicago.
Cool.
And Chris Conley from Ministry worked for him, and he formed Pigface at the time.
Right.
And so he built a rehearsal recording studio in his loft, and was it made more sense for us to rehearse. in Chicago, and this would have been like 90, 91. So we knew the Ministry guys quite well. And they were huge Killing Joke fans. And
what about the Effigies? Speaking of Chicago,
Oh yeah, I like the Effigies
well,
too.
I guess I don't know them.
they were technically like a hardcore punk kind of
Jesus
band.
Lizard.
They were a little punkier than
yeah.
Was big, but the Chicago
Black.
industrial scene. I mean, D. Warsaw and stuff like that. I mean, there was just at the time, well, ChemLab kind of. Well, they were from DC, but I mean, almost.
Wait, what about Palehead? Speaking of DC.
Well, that is Ministry
Yeah, but it's Ian MacKaye.
on vocals.
MacKay.
Yes. Yeah.
Ian MacKay was in a Ministry band.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
really
yeah.
good song.
Yeah.
We'll put a link on the comments.
Remind me.
Yeah.
I can even.
There's a couple of really good tunes that they did.
I guess I can say it. I don't know, but on our next tour, you might be very happy. That's all I.
Oh
say
yeah,
for
interesting.
right now.
Interesting.
Yes, we've
Ian,
already
of course, has a
been-
new band right now, Koreki.
Yeah, I just yeah. So yeah, well, the story behind that was that Al was putting together. You know, he has a lot of side projects, and some of these songs were
really?
supposed to be Ministry songs, but they became Revolting Cock songs. But yeah, he had this other project that he's like, this isn't really Ministry or Revolting Cock, so maybe we need another band, And then he was going to have Chris Connolly sing on it, but then Chris was just singing like these crazy lyrics. He's like, it's like, like, I don't know, raping nuns or something. He's like, no, that's not what we're going for here. So it just happened to be that Ian MacKay was in the studio next door.
Oh.
And Al went over and
what was he
started-
doing? Do you know?
I don't know.
Interesting.
It must have been Minor Threat because
Not
it was
Chicago.
before. No, this wasn't in Chicago. It was in London.
Oh.
Yeah, Al.
Okay,
recorded in
I
London.
can tell you what he was probably doing.
Okay.
Ian was actually producing the first couple of Rollins band.
That's probably what it
recordings.
was. Yeah.
Before they were even called
Yeah.
the Rollins band, it was Henrietta Collins and the drive-by shootings and
Okay,
stuff like that.
so that's probably exactly what was happening, and Al kind of said, "Hey, I'm making this record over here. Would you be interested in singing on it?" So,
Cool.
Yeah, and of course, he didn't drink or anything, Ian,
course.
right?
Right.
But
Milk.
Ministry, well known for partaking, and so I guess, Al boasts that he got Ian to drink. I don't know if I believe that.
I don't believe
Who
it.
knows? If we can confirm that, that would be awesome. But
Anyway,
Ian's wasted with Al Jurgens.
I was a huge Palehead fan.
That's
and,
really. I remember the first time I heard that was actually in Bleecker Bob's in New York City, and it sounds like, obviously, if anyone's heard Palehead, it sounds like Ministry. But when I was like, this sounds like Ian MacKay singing it, and oh shit, it is.
Yeah. So it had like a Killing Joke vibe, but also it could have been almost like something off of. The Mind's a Terrible Thing to Taste, which was pretty much the same year, and then Al produced Rabies by Skinny Puppy the same year. So that was a big year for Al, and that was a big year for industrial music.
That's kind of when Ministry was redefining their sound, right?
They got the addition of Mike Scascia from Rigor Mortis, so he brought the thrash metal vibe, which was what Al was looking for. He wanted to make it heavy.
I used to actually go to the CMJ music conventions in New York, and I had a chili can of rigor mortis chili with fingertips sticking out of me and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were the first thrash metal band to get signed to a major label.
But wait, before Metallica?
Okay. Yeah. So they've been around for quite a while, but Al wanted to bring that element into Ministry, and that's what and of course the phrase industrial metal was born, and after that everybody wanted to do it. Like I said, at that time I was in Killing Joke. I was playing. I played on the Extremities album and then toured it. So that was my first time, touring Europe, and we went to some amazing places like Poland and some Eastern Bloc.
Wait, in the late '80s you were into Poland? That's
Yeah,
pretty great.
yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That turned into an offshoot called Murder Inc., which was with Chris Connolly from Ministry on vocals. We made one record. Everybody else in Killing Joke, and then Paul Raven, the bass player, he and I joined Prong. in the early '90s and played on the Cleansing record. So,
Okay.
I know who Prong is.
Okay.
You
Yeah, because
know
New York. Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah.
Which? Okay, I might have to have a little bit of ignorance here. Which one of those bands did the Supernaut Black Sabbath cover?
That was 1,000 Homo DJ.
Yeah. So who? That was related, obviously.
That's Al,
Okay.
Yeah. So that was another like side project, but yeah, we brought that song
that
back
version
for
of that, yeah.
last year. I was telling you earlier when we did a Wax Trax reunion tour.
Yeah.
We performed Supernaut.
Oh, cool.
We also kept it for the Slayer tour. We just supported Slayer last fall for their
I
farewell
was going
tour.
to ask you, obviously, about that.
Yeah,
Were you guys doing any satanic rituals backstage?
Not really.
Only at Chesty Malone shows, sweetheart. Yeah.
On Halloween, they set up the catering set up a special dessert bar with like chocolate fountain and everything. And I remember videotaping us going on to the stage, and this is what happens backstage. It's decadent. It's definitely decadent, but not maybe in the way that you might think.
Right.
And then I know the Slayer guys were drinking pretty heavy, but we actually tapered off drinking, so we weren't really partying that much.
Al was claiming to be kind of sober or something.
Yeah, he drinks
right?
light beer, but he's clean and he's highly focused. He has a lot of energy. He exercises. He's a very very like highly motivated person.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is he still in Texas or is he back in Chicago?
He's in LA now.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he was in Texas for a long time, but decided to make the move to LA. He seems to like it. He's very, he has a house, a very quiet neighborhood, just kind of, really just watches TV and likes to feed the squirrels and things like that. He's really, you're not.
Country boy.
Yeah, but he has a studio, and so we're working on a new album. We just released our first single for the next album.
Nice.
Called Alert Level, and so we were talking about the Prong thing. That was when I was still in New York, and that was a big record. We supported Pantera and White Zombie, so it was a big year.
What year was that?
'94.
Oh, that was a huge.
Yeah, that was when Pantera's Far Beyond Driven tour. So
all three bands were huge.
Well,
right?
Sepultura was on that band. White Zombie was blowing up. Prong was doing well. It was a big year. So then I moved back here to PA that same year and started my studio. You guys are going to be recording in, and then had a couple of years off. But then I got offered Fear Factory, and so my first show was Ozfest London.
Okay.
And everybody that was back then, I knew everyone.
That's a good break-in for you. Warm-up gig.
Do you have any Sharon Osbourne stories?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, she's
a bitch. Yeah.
I'd heard a lot of stories.
Shit talkers,
I had a lot of stories, but she ran a tight operation.
Yeah.
She was very professional.
Yeah.
I don't know her, personally. I've listened to her, talk a few times. She seemed, all right. Ozzy is funny. He a couple times, I remember sitting next to him at catering, during lunch and stuff. But I thought he was, entertaining.
All right.
Yep.
So wait, you're on Ozfest.
My first Fear Factory show was with Ozfest London, but that was.
What'd you do at Fear Factory?
Keyboards.
Okay.
So that would have been actually.
So you're doing like samples and stuff too? Yeah.
So that would have been '98. So then the following year we did Ozfest in the U.S. the whole tour. So so that would have been.
What, 98 you said? That was at the height of it then.
Yeah. Well, we did 98 and 99, but Fear Factory did all the ones prior as well, but I was not with them at that time. So yeah.
Well, that was actually a Black Sabbath reunion too.
At first, yes, and then it became Ozfest. Yeah. So the one that we did in London was Black Sabbath and Ozzy.
Cool.
The main stage would have been Fear Factory, Soulfly, Slayer, Pantera, Therapy, Foo Fighters, Ozzy, and Black Sabbath.
I was about to say that's pretty metal, but it's also kind of varied with the Foo Fighters and.
Yeah, and Therapy was not the first choice. It might have been like Tool or somebody was supposed to, but they backed out or something. It was somebody else big that backed out, and Therapy jumped in on it. So, but yeah, Foo Fighters played Requiem by Killing Joke. I remember that.
Oh, cool.
So then.
Oh yeah, Grohl played on the one.
Yeah.
Killing
Joke
Joke
Record, actually a great album. So then I did Fear Factory for many years, and then ultimately left in '04. Started my band False Icons, and then Burton C. Bell from Fear Factory. He and I have a band called Ascension of the Watchers, which is bringing out a new album this year. And then
What do you do in that band?
I play keyboards and co-produce, co-write.
Cool.
Yep. And so within a year of leaving Fear Factory, I got offered ministry.
Right on.
Yeah.
So wait, did you just out of the blue, or how did that happen?
Well, it was Raven and Tommy from Prong. They were like, "Hey, man, we're going to Texas to do a ministry record with Al, and we might need a keyboard player." So it's just like, that's how this thing.
I believe our good friend Baron von Wojtas has a Fear Factory tattoo, if I'm not mistaken.
Our good buddy Ryan Baron von Wojtas in Brooklyn.
Look, Ryan.
He actually has a jacket, as a Fear Factory.
Yeah, he does. He does. That's right. He has a giant Fear Factory jacket. Are you embarrassed, Ryan?
No, actually, he's probably stoked. No offense to anybody, but Ryan and I, me and Jackie used to DJ in Brooklyn, and
he'd always be like,
I'd let Ryan guest sometimes.
Yeah.
And he'd always play that. And
every time. That was all
our argument was, I was like, "That's new metal," and he was like, "I hate new metal. It's not new metal."
We were like,
it was
"Fuck
just a
you and
joke.
your jacket, Ryan."
Your jacket.
It was like a windbreaker, something
No,
weird, like a raincoat.
Actually, the Ryan Fear Factory jacket actually came from Jeff and Melody.
That's right.
From Lucky 13.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, guys. They went to England and they brought back Ryan. It was like
he's like their drunk adult son.
Their pet, something. It was like a big. It was like this weird. It was like sort of like a Carhartt, but it had like layers.
But it was long.
And it was long, and it had
That's
the
why
Fear
I thought it was a
Factory.
windbreaker. Anyway,
It was not a
Ryan loves
you. don't
you.
even know what a windbreaker is, then, apparently.
It's a big fucking ugly jacket.
No, a windbreaker is that thin, like, sports guy coach jacket.
I don't fucking know what you're talking about. But anyway, hi, Ryan.
Hey, and Jeff and Melody.
I don't think Melody watches this, but Jeff might.
Jeff will watch this.
So yeah, the New York scene was pretty exciting, but in some ways you would think it would have been bigger than it was. I think you'd have to say, right? But we just talked about a lot of the same people.
Yeah,
so that's how small it is.
Right, it is. Yeah,
my
for
friend,
sure. New York's a very large, small city, for
my
sure.
buddy, my friend Eric Thorson used to always say, New York's a small town. And it is. He's a native New Yorker, and New York is a small town because everybody knows.
Yeah, like a biohazard guys, like
everybody knows everybody, or knows somebody that knows everybody.
But there's not a whole lot of bands, as many as you'd think, out of New York. For a city of that size.
Right. It's true. It is true. We know most of them.
There's a lot of bands that never leave New York. They play all the the knitting factory and everything, and they just pretty much just never really break out of the
That's what we always try to do, is always leave New York.
Well, that's what's
You know what I mean?
funny
You can't
about
just play New York. If you play New York all the time, then we used to joke and call it the tour of New York.
Yeah.
Like here's our tour dates, and so we're playing Brooklyn, then we're playing
Then
Manhattan,
we're playing South Brooklyn,
and then we're playing
playing
Queens,
West Brooklyn,
and then we're back in Manhattan. It's a
then
tour
we're
of
playing
New
Long
York.
Island.
World tour.
What's really funny, since we moved to this undisclosed location in the middle of nowhere, leaving New York City, we're obviously always going to be a Brooklyn band, because that's
wherever we go, we're a Brooklyn band.
But
if you're going to talk like that.
but what's funny is, since we moved to this undisclosed location, we've been more places than we've ever been and done more than we've ever done.
That's the irony of the fact that
very
since
bizarre to us. Yeah.
Since we left New York, we've gone.
We had no idea. We kind of were like
places.
depressed about it, and all of a sudden the band. Well, it also helps that we got the label, but yeah.
32 Levi. We have a label out of beautiful downtown Boise, Idaho.
That's not where we are. I won't tell you where we are, but we're not in Idaho.
That's where our label's from.
Yeah.
Levi.
Yeah.
Hope you're investing well today. He's an investor. He likes to invest.
Well, there's a lot of people from
Yeah.
Pennsylvania that you wouldn't. Trent Reznor is from PA.
It's Ohio, isn't he?
No, well, he got known in Ohio, but he's from Mercer, which is in PA, and then
that's like Western PA, right?
Yes, and then my friend Charlie Klauser from college, he was the keyboard player for Nine Inch Nails. He's from Middletown, which is down by Harrisburg.
Right.
Roy Mayorga, who's now drumming for Hell Yeah,
Wait, he was also in Sepultura, guys. Right?
Soulfly, and he plays for Stone Sour.
Okay.
He's from the Allentown area originally.
Oh, okay. Nice. And then we got Poison from Mechanicsburg.
Yeah, right. And then
we talked about them on our last vlog, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. So Roy then eventually was in the Brooklyn scene, and I knew him from the early '90s as well. So I mean, when he was one of the first people to come up to me at that Ozfest show and start talking to me,
Right on.
he remembered me. So
I've only been to Ozfest as working, so I don't fucking
I never
know.
went to any of this.
I
We were talking about this before.
People do not tip at Ozfest.
I'm not a big fan of gigantic Enormodome Fest kind of shows.
Yeah.
Unless I was playing them, I'd love to be playing them, obviously. But
Nobody
Yeah, I've said it myself. I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily, come to one of these things.
Yeah.
Walking around in the mud, a bunch of drunk
now
people.
we were talking about
The one that
Yeah.
I went to the Monsters of Rock in like
Really?
88
I can't picture you
at
going to
Giant
that.
Stadium, and it was Kingdom Come, Metallica, Dokken, the Scorps, and Van Hagar. So me and my buddy Kenny B, who I've talked about
you're
before,
back. You
he
won't
was the
go away.
original drummer in Hard Darkness. We drove to Giant Stadium to see that, and we got there as Kingdom Come was finishing their set, and just in time for Metallica, who fucking were on fire on that tour. Anyone who knows about that tour, they were insane. And we left right after Metallica. I was like, I don't even want to see Dokken. And Kenny B was like,
it can be sensory overload. I remember on Ozfest walking around. It was pretty early, and like doors or gates must have just opened. Like maybe barely noon, which is early in rock and roll time. And
you can keep rolling.
This
He's
was Somerset, Wisconsin, so it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So in order to get there, it would have involved, a couple of hours in heavy traffic of driving. And I saw these two guys that were already like passed out, face first in the grass, and I'm thinking, they haven't seen,
at these fucking shows.
They must have driven to get here. They bought tickets. They spent a lot of money on booze, and they're already blacked out before any band started playing.
Well, back to our good friend Ryan. We love you. We named our child after you, but we got to go to the Big Four for free because of our good buddy. I'm not Catholic. I don't know how to do this. John Riley, rest in peace, got us into the Big Four on the floor for free, and we didn't go for the first two bands. We only cared about Slayer and Metallica, and our buddy Ryan was sitting in the nosebleeds, but he got wasted during Anthrax, the first band, and slept through the rest of the show.
That wouldn't be the first time something like that happened.
And it's like, what the fuck, man? You probably paid a fortune. And I know we bought beers. We're $17.95 a fucking Budweiser. So you had to spend like $100 to pass out and miss Slayer and Metallica. Very disappointed. But that's also one of my biggest regrets in life is that we got to go backstage and stuff, and I didn't bring any Chesty stickers with us because we were rushing there, and we were all by Slayer's gear, and I was like, I don't have anything to tag your fucking gear with. I blew it. Massively. But anyway, big fest. Big shows, big fest, but that was a good one. Big Four was awesome. Slayer smoked Metallica. My opinion.
Yeah, we toured with Slayer with Fear Factory in '98, and then of course they were on that Ozfest '98, but also just recently last fall with Ministry and Slayer.
Right,
and
my co-workers from my job out here went to that show.
Yeah, down in Harrisburg.
Yeah. We were invited, but someone had to work. It ended up being me. But right on. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was an exciting tour.
Yeah, that is fucking cool. Touring with Slayer. Why not? Oh, should we wait for him? I don't fucking know. He's never walked away in the middle of a vlog before. I don't even know what to do. I feel like I'm taking over. I will take over. You know what I did today, gang? I watched a Penelope Spheris movie that I've never seen before. Do you enjoy Penelope Spheris movies?
I don't know.
She does Suburbia. She did the Decline of Western Civilization movies.
Okay. I didn't know her by name, but yeah. Okay.
So there's one I saw today called Summer Camp Nightmare. And I was like, all her movies are the same. It's kind of like punk rock Lifetime movies where things go horribly wrong and they learn a lesson. We're filming, buddy.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Okay. I came from that way.
But, so there was a summer camp talent show and oh my God. Guest star, Barry. There was a summer camp talent show and the band covered Fear's Beef Bologna at the summer camp talent show. So I thought that was pretty magical.
Krabby Patties.
Yep, there's Krabby Patties and popcorn.
We're rehearsing last year, I guess it was, in LA, and this old dude just kind of showed up and was walking around, and they were like, man, who is that? Somebody thought he was a singer from Deep Purple. I'm like, no, it turned out he was a singer from Fear.
I was leaving.
Yeah, he was leaving.
He looks quite old right now.
But I was just thinking, like, man, you know, like punk rock, you know, and we're real close with Jello Biafra, from Dead Kennedys, and then of course him and Al are the same age, so they both are now in their 60s, and we're just thinking, like, wow, punk rock.
Yeah.
Is heading towards retirement.
He always has to ruin it for me. I'm leaving whoever runs the page. I like to think it's leaving, follows me on Instagram and always likes my post, and he's like, you know it's not leaving. I'm doing that, right? And I was like, fuck you, yes it is.
So did Leaving do any guest appearances on anything?
No, but Jello does. Jello's funny. He's such a ham. Like he'll always like play shy, but then I'll say like, yeah, why don't you come up on stage, you know? He goes, oh no, I couldn't, and then he's like, okay.
Oh, I couldn't.
And then he pulls out, he already has like a song ready that he wants to sing. He already got the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
I've been replaced.
I couldn't possibly, but yeah, he's ready to go and stuff like that. Yeah. That's really funny.
He's like, look, who, me?
Yeah. Little old me? Oh, okay.
If you insist.
Yeah.
The first tour I did with Ministry was also with Revolta and Cox opening up.
Okay.
So Al was doing double duty.
Yeah.
So that was crazy, absolutely.
We're back. I don't know if we went away, but we're back.
Well, all three of us
with
are
our
back.
guests.
Yeah. Well, 1 minute I'm gone, then she's gone, but you've been staying here.
You've been sitting here giving us sport.
So how'd that work with Revolting Cox and Ministry on the same tour?
Well, it was really hard on Al because he was on stage for 2.5, close to 3 hours every day. But they had, early on had suggested maybe that I would do double duty, but playing keyboards for Ministry was a full-time gig, so they got another guy to do Revco. But no, it was a great tour. They had Luke Van Acker, one of the original members, but a lot of new people in it as well. But it was exciting. They were supporting a record, and they did the classics and everything. So Phil Doe was on the tour, the last songs that I learned, I had to learn the new stuff first for the Rio Grande Blood record, but then I got to learn all the classics at the very tail end of rehearsal, so it was a lot of work.
So this was pretty recent then, huh?
No, well, 06.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But Ministry, peaked say in the mid 90s, but they never went away.
Right.
I mean, they were still putting out records and touring.
Just had a couple farewell tours, but
I was on one of those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When I heard Houses of the Mole, that was, I thought, like the kind of record we've been waiting for. I mean, I liked some of the other stuff, but it felt like they had their mojo back, and Al was doing much better, and so it was just so ironic that I ended up in the band at that time. So I mean, kind of really pushed the metal thing, Mike Scascia came back, Tommy Victor from Prong was in it, so I mean, there's a lot of Ministry fans that weren't necessarily on, they don't really care for the more metal stuff, but since then we've experimented with a lot of different elements of past Ministry and also new ideas. Al doesn't like to just do the same thing over and over again.
Fair enough, absolutely.
Try something new, and so
wait, were there a couple of guys, remember that band Zoetrope from Chicago? And then a couple of those guys were in that band Mindfunk with Pat Duval. are from Uniform Choice.
Yeah, well,
They were in ministry for a while.
They probably were. There's quite a long list of past members for ministry, but none of them would have had the longevity that I've had. For sure, you know. But yeah, so the Chicago scene was much more, I think, vigorous than say the New York scene. It's a smaller city, but Chicago is an amazing city. The people are amazing.
We played Chesty Malone.
We talked about Chicago in one of our previous vlogs.
So
viewers.
cold. It's so cold.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, it's hot.
But the people go wild.
It's either
in
100
Chicago.
degrees or like 0 degrees.
Did anybody try to sniff you?
We had people trying to sniff her.
I had a lot of sniffers.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
No, but
I love skin touchers and sniffers in Chicago. So I like
they
to
have
know
really
other
good
people's
food,
experience.
amazing
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go
there's
to
a
it,
huge.
go to it.
I'm not real big into jazz, but there's a huge like jazz
Yeah.
Scene there, and
I
also.
like some jazz, but I'm not a jazz guy either.
So yeah, so it's an amazing city, and then we talked about LA a little bit. You spent time there. First time there would have been with Killing Joke. We opened for X.
Oh, nice. Where was that?
At the Palladium.
Cool.
Sold out show. So that's one way for a country boy to have first time in LA was playing a sold out
I saw
show.
some good shows at the
At the Palladium.
Yeah. I saw Fugazi there. Like I saw a couple of Rockford Choice shows. There.
Palladium just recently with Ministry.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. I wasn't sure if it was true. That's cool.
And it hasn't changed a bit.
I saw Soundgarden there.
I mean, they've kept it. I mean, the wooden floor is well maintained, and
It's basically just a giant open room.
but they've taken good care of it. But yeah, it's like an iconic structure. It really hasn't changed much. But the authentic smell of urine. How bad?
Of course, you gotta have the authentic smell of urine. I could not.
I've never been to California. I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, the LA scene, is amazing. It's a huge city too. But I was based there with Fear Factory for many years. Got to know people. And I was surprised too, because you think of LA as just like snooty LA people, and there's plenty of them out there.
Absolutely,
but there's a lot of cool people. Plus, a lot of people go from New York to LA, so there's a whole scene of those people.
Yeah.
So I felt pretty comfortable. Once I realized that that there's a pretty cool scene there.
Yeah, definitely. LA's an interesting place. Maybe we'll go there eventually. We've been trying to get out there for years.
Yeah, we were supposed to play Vegas and LA and stuff, and this guy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay for you to come out and do it."
Might still happen, so talk shit.
Not talking shit. I'm just angry that you didn't come through, you person who will remain nameless.
Evil Pizza in Vegas.
Yeah. This is getting long, so anything
That's
else?
what she said.
Hey, guest star. Anything else we want to say here? Anything else
what kind
you'd
of
like to You didn't warn him? Fuck.
Well, no, it was good talking to you. This was
Great to meet you guys. I'm looking forward to recording.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Now I know about ministry, everybody.
Yeah, now she knows.
Punk's gone wild.
And you all have something to look forward to with our new album.
Fuck yeah,
that
you
we
do.
will be recording soon.
Yeah. All right, well, we have a tradition at the end of every one of our fucking videos, and it's called, Eat Shit.
Eat shiz.
Eat shiz. I'll drink to that.